I got my life insurance just before my kids were born. Yeah, because I had twins. So it's like, yo, hey. And the way I'm living right now, yeah, they must have something.
Yeah.
They must have something.
Yeah.
So for me, that was the number one factor. But before kids, no.
It didn't matter.
I mean, you look at the numbers properly.
Do you guys save?
I do.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I do.
After expenses.
King David Studio.
My name is Andisani Mbedzi. I'm 26 years old, yeah.
Yeah, my name is Pitumela Malekane and I'm 27 years old.
And I'm Kilogalo Machupa. I am 28 years old.
I'm David Mashabel. I'm the old man here. Narali Grootman, 47. I can talk. That means I kind of have a sense of what I'm talking about.
Definitely.
The idea with calling young people here has a lot to do with the generational gap on a lot of other things. South Africans, we really like to advise, but I think people generally like to advise. So let me tell you, so that's why we're here. I have a number of clips that I'll be playing, and you guys will tell me if it's a good advice or you won't take this advice right now. It's really that simple. Let's start.
A piece of advice: when you start working, please immediately start saving, even if it's as little as 200 rands. 10 years later, that money will make a huge impact in your life. Start now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think 100%. Saving is important, but I think there's obviously just a big gap in terms of how do you save and where do you save, right? A lot of people, like, we go with our traditional saving of like putting 500 rand in your savings account, but like, I mean, with the interest rates and the rand getting weaker to the dollar, like, money does deteriorate in value. So like, I think it's always important to always, like, surround yourself with people who know about different types of instruments to save in. For example, like last year, I think 2020, when Sasol went down to 20 rand, if you were taking that 500 put in Sasol today, you would have, I don't know, maybe close to 400% in returns. So yeah, I think saving 100%, but like, I think instruments in saving is very, very important. Yeah,
I agree with the saving thing. I think you also need to save with a goal. It doesn't make sense for you to just say, I'm saving 500 rand in case something happens. What's the goal behind it? Are you saving towards something, or are you just saving because they said I should? So knowing the reason and also knowing the different instruments, like Anisani said, about where you should invest your money and when. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, I think we have a consensus there. It's just a very big issue on how you're saving and what you're saving for, like they said. Because, I mean, there's many ways to save. You can save while using a credit card. Or one which for our parents, that's almost taboo.
Yeah.
We still have to explain it to them. Good to know. There is a way for you to make money with your credit card. You know what I'm saying? So she's not wrong, but implementation-wise, I think we would disagree with them quite a lot on a lot of things.
On the methodology.
But we cannot lie and say saving is easy, you know?
That's
like,
the other thing.
I think
Let me ask this question this way. Do you guys save?
I do.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, I do.
After expenses. So after I've had enough money and I know I've enjoyed myself, then whatever's left, then it kicks in, okay, you've had enough of a thrill. Yeah. I mean, I have a friend. His idea of saving is, or his approach to saving is, so you can save and then it works out. But you can also save and it doesn't work out. So it's equally a risk. Ultimately, it's a 50-50 game.
I think that her point then makes sense in that context, because it says save for a reason. Not just save. Because then
Definitely.
But I think also there's planned saving and then there's saving like when it happens, right? Like for me, I use an Excel sheet. So I've got a 12-month sheet running. Every month I know that this amount must go to my savings and this is what I'm left with to play with. But obviously, like, life happens and sometimes you need to dig into those savings. And for those rainy days, that's why it's there. But I think if you have a tool or some sort of way that you can hold yourself accountable and into how you're saving, then I guess you can save.
All right, let's go to the next one.
My advice would be don't open clothing accounts, don't take loans, don't buy anything on hire purchase.
Done.
Yeah.
This one is a big one. It's a big one.
All right, let's start here. Opening clothing accounts.
It depends.
Literally.
It depends. Like, And that's the issue we have with all the people. The principles are set. With us now, our lifestyles are so different. So for me, it depends. I mean, for example, let's look the part. You can't always go buy money contant.
So your account.
Don't know your account. Yeah, of course. It's the only way you'd be able to maintain even the level of drip you have. So for me, opening an account is a cost.
They're agreeing with you, but we'll get to that.
So for me, it depends. And then there's people our age who have kids. For them, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
The guy outgrows his clothes every 6-7 months. When it depends.
Yeah.
Her point is buying things where you have to pay so much interest
Yeah.
is a bad idea. That's
Yeah,
essentially
that's
what
what
she's
she's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kore, if you're going to buy things that carry so much interest, it's a no. And note, remember, the point of all this exercise is someone who has gone through this life experience. And they're telling you now in hindsight, but had I known better, I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
All right, let's hear your point.
For me, I think because of the generational gap, older people tend to think all debt is bad, and it's not like that.
Okay.
There's certain things you can get that benefit you in the long run, like getting property. Because she's essentially saying don't get debt as well. So imagine if I sit here and I want a $1 million house, and then now I must save for it before I buy it.
No,
That's essentially what she's saying as well.
Let me help you with that.
Yeah.
We played literally
Just a
10%
snippet,
of a 1 minute
Yeah.
audio.
Yeah.
Her views are the only things you should be buying is property and vehicle.
On credit.
The rest on credit.
Okay.
The rest, if you don't have money,
It's a no-brainer.
don't buy. That is her perspective.
I don't agree fully, because I feel like in some times, like he's saying, with his lifestyle or anybody else's lifestyle, it's not the same. We're not the same. We don't work the same. We don't do the same things.
Yeah.
So that is very like a blunt statement, and it's covering everybody where it doesn't apply. So for me, I would say, look at your situation, look what you're working with, and take it from there. I can say no to clothing accounts. He can say yes because it benefits him in the long run.
Yeah,
It essentially might make him more money because he looks the part. Might give him more connections. Whereas for me, that wouldn't work because I don't benefit from that lifestyle. So look at what you're working with and make decisions based on that.
So it's very generic. It's okay.
Yeah.
Half. But the simple question is it a good idea to have an account where in Bath? Simple question.
Simple question.
Simple answer.
Simple answer. It's unsecured debt in essence, right? I mean, if you continuously buy clothes that are expensive
on credit,
and you excessively use it, because obviously these guys they watch how you spend. So if they see your spending patterns get higher, what do? They increase your credit, right? And the gap between, I think, the generation back in the day and the generation today is that there's a financial literacy gap, right? I mean, I'm not gonna go and blow at 10,000 on clothes. No, I'm not. But then sometimes there's a need. When I started working, for example, I needed to buy suits because my job needs me to have suits.
And I was on credit.
And I had to go get credit, right? But then I knew that, okay, in the next 5 months, Andisani, you need to make sure that you pay that credit back. So I think it's very subjective to the situation, circumstance you're in. For my personal point of view, unsecured debt is not so great. And I think we live in a world now where it's about what brand are you wearing. I mean, to be quite honest, sometimes you can go to Small Street, rock yourself a nice t-shirt for $2.
With a big brand.
You know what I mean? Like, it's all perception at the end of the day. So if you want to use credit in that way, just be careful. And know yourself. I mean, we're not all the same. Yeah.
Let's go to the next one.
Okay.
Sure. Me, the advice I can give the young ones, to start to save at an early age, when you start your first job.
I think that's covered.
Yeah.
I think, that's covered.
That's covered. Do we agree?
No, we are aligned so far.
We agree.
All right. You mustn't kill yourself also. You must live a bit.
For me, the saving one is tough, man.
Yeah.
To be like, as much as you can save, the saving one is tough because again, from our parents. So I'm just going to quickly explain my situation. I'm going to run away.
Yeah.
Basically, my parents, they did the whole credit thing and then they regretted it. So my mom had to work overseas, obviously recover the debt and then start making the money.
Of course.
Yeah, man. But in her starting to make the money, she made a couple of saving plans that literally rewarded her with nothing.
The money was just sitting there.
The money was just sitting there, and then because of inflation or whatever, she got maybe she saved for like 5 years,
Yeah.
5 clip or 4 clip.
Yeah, there was very little.
But
And
then
it's just very
it
little.
goes back to what I was saying, saying the instrument,
yeah, that
right?
you use, yeah.
So I was driving with my friend the other day, and she was telling me about government bonds, 5-year government bonds, right? Go purchase yourself a government bond, a 5-year government bond, risk-free rate, very low on risk. You're not gonna just lose your money like that.
Yeah.
And that's why it goes back to, I mean, where are you saving? You can put your money in the bank and it can depreciate in value.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at those type of instruments. Government bond, you buy that 5-year government bond in 5 years' time, you know that you're getting 2 times the interest in terms of like 6 months. And after 5 years, you get your capital back at a risk-free rate.
Yeah.
So in essence, what you're saying is there's a generational gap of knowledge as well.
Financial literacy.
Yeah.
I think that's where,
All right, let's go.
Advising Kaifang, and especially those who will be starting employment, the young ones, is for them to get life insurance. I remember when I started, I think I was around 25, today I'm 38. And I go and got this life insurance. They had to do a blood test. So Baromela Nese to come and take the blood, team. And then all I remember, she congratulating me, Ario, what you're doing is very great, Wanaka.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Cool. Life insurance. Let me ask this question this way. Do you have it?
100%.
Do you have it?
Yes.
Do you have it? Yes. Why?
For me, it's when I purchased my property. So you can't purchase a property.
So you were forced to have it?
So it's not that I was forced to. It was a cautious decision that I made.
Okay.
I haven't purchased the property yet, but at a bare minimum, life. I mean, COVID just happened. Life, and we've got family. I don't want a situation when I leave my
People are
family.
left with
Yes,
debt,
a debt and nothing. For me, that was something that was a cautious decision I made for myself. And it's always cheaper to get life insurance while you're still young, because the older you get, the
More
diseases,
expensive it gets,
and you know what I mean. Like life happens. So 100% life insurance.
Yeah, for me,
Let me phrase it differently to you. There are those who say you're going to die anyway, and when you die, you're no longer here. Why do you care about those that you're leaving behind?
you're leaving them behind with your debt as well. It's not
That's
just
true.
about
Good
leaving
point.
them.
Yeah.
I've got a car right now. It's not paid off. If I die now, who's going to pay for that? It goes away. Or if I get a house,
They lose it.
my kids' education or things like that, you need to think outside of the box and think towards the future. It's not just about, no, I'm saving money for other people to spend it. You want them to also be relaxed when you pass on, that they don't have to worry about, no, Tanzero Kolotisa. Oh, no, we have to now go get debt to pay for this and this. This one owes Boma Shonisa. You don't want those kind
It's
of
that
things.
generational wealth thing. You're securing the future's generation, like your future generation's wealth, in essence. Because I mean, you leave them with debt. What are they going to do? They still then what do you call the curse continues.
There's a generation that believes you die with your debt, but that's a different. Let's hear it. Life insurance.
Yeah, I got my life insurance just before my kids were born. Yeah, because I had twins. So it's just like, hey. And the way I'm living right now, they must have something. They must have something. So for me, that was the number one factor. But before kids, no,
it didn't matter.
I mean, you look at the numbers properly. The 12 pack. So yeah, because of the kids. 100% because of the kids. Nothing to do with me at all.
Okay. All right. Good point. All right. Let's hear it.
Later, my advice is don't rush into anything. Don't rush khudira bana. Bana khabatshabi. Take your own time. Work. Look at 5-10 years. Osnangwana is not a train smash.
We got it. Let's start with you, father of 2.
She's right. I think she's 100% right. But also it depends on situation because a lot of people end up regretting early commitment because of how a person changes throughout the course of life. Because she's not talking short-term things. 5 to 10 years. Most couples don't even last that long.
Yeah.
There's danger.
So the whole don't rush into anything. I agree with the principle fully. But
And do you look at having had kids relatively early in your life as a negative or positive now that you're able to also look at it in hindsight?
For me, it's actually a positive because it's helped me look inward a lot of times. Yeah. There's not much to say. She's right. Don't rush into it.
Yeah.
Because there's memes now. It's a pandemic. Then you're gonna get married. Find out 3 years later that your side chick is the one getting married. So it's just a whole process where you really have to build trust before you commit to any of these things.
Yeah.
And our parents, they grew up in a culture where trust was induced. For example, no uturhonya laga mo. Mama, papa, olawa yuturutlaka na komango bereka ka wira halang. No, ukuna senda uba guntung iya mesa fulisi mutubu.
Restriction relación, amare. Yeah. All right. I got you. I didn't know you guys did that. Uber. I don't even have an Uber on my generational gap. All right, let's hear it. Don't rush into having kids.
No, I fully agree. Yo, guys, don't do it. Like, don't do it.
You close your eyes.
Don't do it. Like, as when I look at my life right now and I were to factor in a child, it would not go well at all. I would be miserable because I love a nice time. I love buying nice things. I don't want almost half or all my pay to go to someone else right now, not right now.
Bundle of joy.
Yeah, right. As cute as they are and as adorable as they are, they cost a lot of money. Like, so I fully agree. I think she's right about that. Any decision you make, just think about it before you do it. Take your time. There's no rush. You still have time. We're still young. So yeah, I agree.
I think it's twofold, I'm a very religious person. So a child is a blessing from God. And I feel like children come with blessings, right? But I think from a realistic point of view, I think I read an article the other day and they said the average salary you need to make to be able to take your kid through school and give them a good life is 1.2 million. You need to be earning at least in your household 1.2 million. And I mean, it just goes back to saying, are you ready at that time? Financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And if you feel that you are, I mean, go for it, but the financial part, if you're not ready, like I think that's the thing with maybe the generation before and now is that before it was easier to maybe raise kids because it was cheaper, but like we're living in crazy circumstances right now.
You can always make it cheaper. It depends where you live.
But I guess that's where you come in and you tell us how. Then.
No. It's well, you can. We were raised in the hood, in the township.
Yeah.
It was cheaper.
Correct.
Much cheaper.
Can I throw a curveball here?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Would you not say that also the sooner the better? Because
that's also another thing. Yeah. That's also another
because
thing.
You, again, personal experience. I look at some of the girls that got pregnant first year while we were still in high school. They're actually more financially stable now than the ones who are still pushing their careers.
They got rid of this tiny detail.
They got rid of this very expensive tiny detail at the early stage where you could even argue that the grandparents were helping out.
Yeah.
So she never really felt the true nature of how expensive the child is.
But that, as you can tell, that's an exceptional case.
Yeah. Yes, it doesn't happen everywhere.
Yeah, no. And I think the opposite happens often when you are stuck with this child and there's no help at all. You don't even know how to figure it out. You end up having to quit school to try and you work and you were already at varsity. With a career that had good prospects, and now you have to go retail, stop all of that. So you're going to freeze your income at a low base for a long, long time.
Correct.
Until you have to then have the ability to recover all on your own, where you took yourself to school, all of that. It tends to be slightly harder. But yes, there are those who will say, Axalida, my little bundle of joy is older. All of that. It's a tricky one. It's a tricky one.
Problem about barata sex, man.
Interesting. One of the clips we have speaks to that.
Yeah.
It says, condom is a thing, eh? It says, please, eh? This thing. But it's a guide advising other guys, saying, gents, it does not serve you to have many kids everywhere.
Yeah.
It'll not make you skanga. So what are your takes?
Yeah, no, I think just having over and above the financial part of it. I think the kids growing up, like, yo, this is my dad. Oh, yo, that's also my dad. You know, like
they call them special.
You know what I mean? Like I think mentally it's not okay for the kids, you know, like and I think if you want to be in a position, I think our generation now, we're looking at more to building towards generational wealth, you know, creating stable families. I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying people don't make mistakes. Life happens. But we need to have that generational wealth comes with having a stable home.
Yeah,
like
definitely,
and I'm not gonna lie and say, look, you messed around here and then something happened. It happens. It's life. But for the purpose,
it's an avoidable action.
100%, right?
Yeah.
It is an avoidable one. But I think at a bare minimum, like let's create a place where it's stable for our kids to also be in that mental space to say, your mom and dad can come and watch me play soccer on the weekend.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's where you build like a superstar in soccer. That's where you build an executive in the future. That's where you build a CEO mentality. You know, like
definitely.
that just that
Having
little
the support,
stability and support. So yeah, I think that's my 2 cents there. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you say to these? Because men who make kids are not having sex with themselves. Let's get that out the way.
I agree. I think protection goes 2 ways. Two people are involved, so let's not just put it on the men. And what Andy said sticks to me because I'm in a situation where my grandfather, when he passed on, kids banomela out of the blue. And not just that, he knew about them because these
I think
kids
that's
are in
what's
the
going to happen
will.
to me.
Get ready.
I say this very carefully.
Yeah.
I don't have any kids and I worry about this. Maybe they're there and I don't know about them. But anyway, sorry I interject. Carry on.
No, but he's in a situation where, well, we are in a situation where these people are in the will and now we have to go find these people. We don't know where they are. We have to find them.
Yo.
And once we did find them, the resentment towards my dad, because he so he was raised in the marriage. He was the one that got, I think, the perks of having 2 parents. You know what I mean? So the other kids resent him for that because they didn't have their father.
The privilege.
The privilege of having a father and a mother present. So Andy was right when he's talking about we want our families to be stable, to be support. We don't want kids now because we don't want those kind of things for our family lives.
But there's also trick questions like when you come in to fetch the child who belongs to you, do you also take the other child?
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you buy 2 ice creams or 1?
You see what I mean?
Right.
There's a lot going on.
Also, you need to understand the era back then where basically our grandparents, especially the granddads, the men, were basically encouraged to travel, to go seek wealth elsewhere, to go seek better jobs elsewhere. So now, if the guy's disappearing for 2 months, they also need to, as Kelly said, you need not to have the condom on.
Remember.
Restrained.
And I like you brought the condom talking about Ukamano, because it can still be avoided. A child can still be avoided.
Yeah.
Well, no, fair enough. But what is that movie, Mr. Bones, where the guy's like the warmth of a woman? The guy's been gone. He's traveling to Limpopo, Mpumalanga. This is all in like 4 years.
Yeah.
Like when I found out my granddad's backstory, I wasn't shocked. I was just like, okay, makes sense. Because Olokoko Sosha, Olokoko Bela Driv Murula Neng, Omongoloko Mpumalanga. And like, the wedding, the marriage certificates are like 5-6 years apart.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about me right now.
But you're not likely to repeat what he did.
No.
You can learn from it.
Yeah.
100%. Because also there's issues there where if we really band together, we can fast track generational wealth. But because that's highly unlikely based on the issues that are going in, all we're doing is holding it back.
Yeah.
But we mustn't forget our Africanness.
Which is?
So my granddad, personally, he was a traditional healer. And he had 21 kids. Whoa. With 6 wives, right? And part and parcel of it was because of his Africanness.
He was married to these women.
All of them.
Yeah.
And all 21 kids, 10 uncles, 11 aunts, all of them went to school. He was an engineer back in his day. And obviously, like, well, for me, when I saw it, I wouldn't want that for myself. And I think that I mean, had it just been maybe 4 of us, 3 of us, would be nice. Would be nice. But you know, when I used to ask him, I'm like, yo, why so many wives? He's like, no, and the Bazim it must go this way. You know what I mean? So, so there is that part of it. But I'm not saying that it's what we should practice. But we shouldn't neglect. And be naive to it.
And I assume he was able to afford all of this.
100%. I mean, he was one of the first civil engineers in Benda, you know, and he was a director in his time. And I mean, he passed on last year. Rest in peace to him. But like, yo, what an absolute champion. I mean, you know, like taking 21 kids to school is not pap and place.
How many you have 6 wives who also have their needs?
No, look, having 6 wives.
That's
already
pap and place. Yeah.
And I like the fact that you brought up, you could afford them.
Yes.
Our generation in that department, they're greedy.
Okay. Explain yourself.
Our generation's got access. Something our parents didn't have, something our grandparents didn't have that much. We have access. Instagram, WhatsApp, 2 hours civil exchange. But that doesn't mean.
Let's clarify.
So it's not even to say you have to go have sex with her, but the company is that readily available. So also that's why I'm saying we need to understand the dynamics of their situations. They didn't have access; they had to travel. So for them, as much as he was a smooth talker or silver fox, at some point he genuinely loved or cared for that woman. Whereas like us, it's just a love child since.
But the problem is also as we want to have now too many kids, but you don't have the funds, man. Don't be wild like that, you know. Like have your stuff in order, you know.
And also don't have too many, even if you have the funds. Because that's another discussion.
Elon Musk would beg to differ.
Well, of course. Well, how many people do you know who have Elon Musk funds?
Exactly.
You see what I mean? Even Mark Zuckerberg doesn't have that kind of cash anymore. All right, let's go.
Advice saying, you know, fund these young ones. Nonyani, etomaga wahasinta. Don't rush to things. No, take your time. And
I think you got it. Basically, in case we don't get it, it's a nest. You know, a bed doesn't rent. In simple terms, that's all I say. A bed doesn't rent; it builds its own nest. We live in a generation of renters. We even have property developers who are developing rental property. They're 100%. Not into selling.
Correct.
Like when we were buying, and I bought many years ago. So, what do you guys say to that as we conclude this?
Sure.
Can I go?
100%.
I think it depends on your situation. I mean, for example, when I started working, I was earning just under 10K because I was an intern. And I couldn't travel from Pretoria to Sandton every day. It doesn't make sense. I also didn't have the funds to buy something at that time. So for that period of my life, renting made sense. So that works. But now I'm in a point where I'm like, okay, you earn more money now. You have more financial literacy. You know what's going on. You are now at a place to buy something. So it just depends on where you're at. But I get where he's coming from. Renting for me back then made sense. And it's because you avoid a lot of costs. There's no levies that you're paying. There's no maintenance. This isn't broken. You don't have to fix that. You don't have to worry about that. But when you buy something, if you're going to rent it out, you're going to have to worry about those things. We were talking about this earlier, that you're going to worry about these things. You're going to pay more than you should have for that property. So might as well just not buy. It depends on what the goal is when you're buying this property. Is it because I want a home? Is it because I'm getting into business? What are we doing? When you're renting, is it because you don't have the funds right now? You're saving towards buying? You know what I mean? So essentially what I'm saying is everything you do should have a reason.
Renting versus buying.
Sure.
Big debate.
I love this one because like I'm a very big property fanatic, and for me it's right, we're working towards generational wealth, right? So buy with a purpose.
Definitely.
I mean, if the bank gives me credit for 1.2 million, I'm not gonna go buy a 1.2 million 2-bedroom apartment. I'd rather then go to Olive and buy a 800 or 600,000 rand township house take the other 400,000 that the bank has given me as credit, build 10 rooms. 10 rooms, rent them out for 3.5 each. I have an extra 35K a month. The house property is paying 8,000. I have plus minus, let's say, 25 left. 5K for maintenance, 20K in my pocket. Then I can go buy the house I want to stay in.
You realize that what you're painting is someone who spends time processing this.
100%.
And that's very rare. Most people, I just got a job, I'm earning a salary, it's 12,000 rands. I need to change my life. And there's no time spent trying to understand the dynamics of that. And your chance that you're the first to buy a house in your setting. And all of that stuff. There's a lot. And also you don't want to live with these people anymore. You just want your own place.
But
you're not going to complicate it. And when you want to live in Oliven.
But
I was about to say also, I mean, as a landlord, if my place, you go Oliven, 5K, for example, we're going to run with your example. It's not going to be close enough. The tenant neglection in South Africa is quite high. It's unnecessary. It's very high. So already you, for the first 6 months, you're not 25,000. It's going in out. Handyman, the pipe, my first there. So these are teething facts that also I have big arguments with like some of my friends who are higher up, and I'm like, you guys are looking at economics and financial gain as on a piece of paper, where in reality it's not like that. And then you see it. For example, me, I deal with a lot of people, so I face a lot of people. You could find that 25,000 rand. It would have been different if this was your everyday life.
It's a full-time job.
A full-time job. But then you don't make such decisions without understanding and thinking.
Applying
that's number one. And number two, you don't need to be staying in Oliven because that 20K can pay for wherever you want to stay. That's number one. Number two is that you will never learn about the mistakes of life if you never try. It's as simple as that, right?
I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. There's a friend of mine who has exactly the same setup. But he's doing it much later in his life. He already has the big house that he always wanted through salary. And now he just built a house in not far from here. It's not Oliven. What is it? Cosmo City. Yes, Cosmo City. Nice house. It hosts about 10 people, 8 people. They live comfortably. First week, he had a break-in. And that already makes the tenants unsettled. So I'm just saying, to his point, the reality of this is very different. He still doesn't regret the decision. Because he looks at the money and says, in the long run, this place will pay itself in 5 years. And it's good return. And looking for tenants tends to be tricky sometimes. Vetting tenants is a full-time job. There's a lot of that goes into it. It's not easy. It is in theory, but in practice, there's a lot involved in it.
But Mr. David, as I said, right, we're 26 now.
There's time to do this.
Before 30, learn, go through that. If there's a break-in, get security. If you can't maintain the occupancy rate, go to a property company and say, guys, please help me with the occupancy. You're going to learn over time. And I mean, you will never get to that point where you will make that generational wealth if you never try.
But we all agree on renting versus buying. Do we agree?
To rent. To buy.
To buy. We agree to buy.
100% to buy.
I like the first point was to rent. What do you say?
I say rent first.
First.
I say rent first.
For how long? Because first it has to have a duration.
Have a plan.
So let's say, for example, I was living in the perfect world. I got my first
Where
job.
there's no load shedding. We keep going. There's no palapala. You want to keep going.
Polo vivo pata like my mark.
I love it for you. I love it.
That's a dream one.
No, I love it for you.
So, for example, I get my first job. And I'm in a similar case as well. So I'm based in Pretoria, but my job is fully in Joburg. So fine, I rent, get a spot where else, Midrand.
Of course. That's where I started. Let's go.
Middle.
In the perfect world, I'd rent for maybe 10, 15 years, easy.
Yeah,
because also I need to figure out who am I as a person, and that's the one mistake guys do. Where as soon as your parents get you a flat or whatever, or you start paying it yourself,
And I get fat and set.
Then get fat and set.
And then get bambino.
Once you're fat and set, your whole life goes south. Man. The trajectory changes completely.
And I get Uber.
I'm gonna get Uber.
That's where the danger is.
So for me, I think as much as I would rent, and like the guy said with the very first question, I'd also save with a plan to be like, okay, I'm renting here for now. I really don't like this. For jarata yaga hegela than this, I know I don't want.
Yeah.
So for me, I definitely rent first. I would, because you don't want to be in a place where you're 40, 50 years old, you no longer like your surroundings. And these are all things you found out when you could have just changed your mind and be like, you know what, now I want a new landlord, I want a new venue.
I'll tell you though, something that people forget about buying, and this is a debate I've been having with my niece as well, is that you can sell the house if it's no longer working.
100%.
You can leave. You can sell the houses for so long.
How long is that going to take, though, realistically?
No, it takes as long as high as your price is. If your price is too high for the place you're in, it'll take long to sell. If your price is right, people will buy it. And
100%.
and markets change. We live in a buyer's market. Sometimes we live in a seller's market. Now, right now, it's a bit rubbish right now, but life carries on. The point I'm making is, arguing against your point of renting for too long. I think over the past few weeks or so, I've learned to accept that, you know what, rent if you feel it's okay. But do not rent for too long.
Yeah, but also don't be wild, right? Don't go rent now. Like if you can't afford it, like you can't, because I mean when they vet you for rent, I think they do 2 or 3 times your salary, your gross or something like that, right? So don't go like with like a 14K 3-bedroom rental.
Yeah, like don't go fancy.
I mean, if you can afford it, I mean that's you.
But how many you can afford?
You know what I mean? It's a very
right at the beginning of your life.
I mean, if it's making sense for you to like have that 1 bedroom, go 6K on it. You have another maybe 12 to play with. Do something with it. Rather save it, invest it, invest it.
Something.
And just be smart about it. Just be very smart.
Another reason why I'd rent is because, well, this is just a personal thing. You have a higher chance of meeting more people when you rent.
Tell me.
So like when I was in varsity, I had a couple of friends where, so his name was Luke, but he had rented a place. And then every year when the semester changes, there's new people. There's new people. So now you're also starting to figure out what kind of person that you are in a situation where you're confined. Where now I'm in close with you, we're happy. Now we live together. In the morning, I don't say good morning. I'm not that guy. And there's a lot of self-discovery that goes in how you
with a lot when your life surrounding changes often.
Sure. I'll say that. Yeah, there's a lot of, so that's also another reason where, like, for example, with my kids, I would definitely want them to rent. If I could, I'd put them in a commune.
Yeah.
So you can figure yourself out. So by the time you come back home, you're sorted.
But I think also the benefit of renting is that you're not locked into that debt.
Yeah.
You're not locked in.
You can easily get out of it.
And as you said, like the market is crazy. In a sense that, like, yes, you probably your loan amount is $1 million, but your property now is decreased to 800. Then you have that knock. But that's where financial literacy comes in. Do I take a short full cover or something like that?
Or do you leave it?
You know what I mean?
Because it'll recover.
At the end of the day. So you need to just think about those things. But I mean, renting is also not too much of a bad option. I was like, your first job, first pay slip, I'm going to the bank, I'm saying I want a house. But then you sit down, you're like, does it really make sense for me to lock myself in here?
Everything's great when you do it in moderation.
Yeah, definitely.
So God wasn't good to you with
because he was like, nah.
He was punishing me for my past sins, man.
2 kids right at the beginning.
What's moderation?
Imagine that.
So I genuinely think everything is good in moderation. You know, if you can rent a little bit and then secure your future based on your experience with renting, then renting had made sense.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? If you had saved a little bit so you can invest or buy, saving had made sense.
Yes.
But then you go save. And then maybe, because a lot of people also, life is unpredictable. You find that people go through mental changes, cultural shocks, whatever.
Yes.
Well, I don't know, the savings out, he's changing drastically or she's changing drastically. So everything in moderation makes sense.
You know what? One thing I said I'll do when I record these, I will not play the Grootman position, and I will not. I will let everybody else that watches this video comment and play the Grootman position.
Yeah.
So thank you again. I really appreciate
No,
it.
thank you.
This is the beginning of a new thing that we're trying here, and you guys are the first guinea pigs of this. And I think it's informative stuff.
It's very
Asimko, do you want us to talk about what's going on now?
No, Mick just got that side of the studio.
He's good.
Thank you again, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again.
King David Studio.